Hey Swifters, and welcome back to another race. Tonight we are racing in the Crit City Downtown Dolphin, 8 laps. It's not 28.8 kilometers, it is just over 15 kilometers. Elevation is flat, 8 meters, and we have a very short lead in of 1 kilometer, or 0.1 kilometer, 100 meters. I rode this race 2 weeks ago. 22:44 was my time. 3.1 watts per kilo average. 258 watts for the race. So hopefully we can better that. Okay, we've joined the pens. Didn't have a lot of time getting home from work to get properly warmed up for this. So I've only done a very short warm up of about, I think about 8 minutes. So I'm kind of interested to see how well that works or doesn't work. Typically my warm-ups are somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. So this was relatively quick in comparison. The other thing I noticed was before I left work, I checked the sign-ups, and literally there were about 8 or 10 riders in C grade. And then by the time I got home, there were 36. So that certainly changed my ideas on how well this race was going to go. A smaller group can be easier or harder depending on the riders that are there, but it does change the dynamics. It is easier to break away from smaller groups than it is from larger groups. That's for sure. So I was kind of hoping that it might be a smaller group rather than a larger group, but what can you do? And we can see the participant number there climbing to 26 so far. So as I said, we've got 15.7 kilometers in this race, so relatively short. There are shorter races, but not too many. This race, this crit is one of the shorter ones. So it ends up being just a almost like a sprint fest. So we've got 8 laps to complete, just on the 2 minute mark. Heart rate's a bit lower than normal when I usually jump into the crits or the races. Usually it's sitting around 130, 125, but yeah, we're sort of a little bit low 120. So yeah, I was really interested to see whether that would benefit me or not. A little bit unsure, but we'll see how we go. So I'm in my usual training gear, which is the blue and red bike and gear kit with my orange cap and blue Tron bike. All right, numbers increasing there, 31, and we've got 1 minute to go. Now, this route, as I've mentioned in previous videos, is only available if you join the race. This is not a general route that's available to Swifters. You've got to participate in an event to ride this route, but you can join the race and then just leave the event, and you can just pedal around at your heart's content. So there are ways of getting around this route without having to race, but racing is typically the one that everyone does. All right, 10 seconds. Starting to pump it up, and bang, noticed something on my gears. So that sort of threw me off a little bit, but that's all right. So put the watt bombs out. Make sure to get out in front. It's a really key strategy of racing. You want to be on the front at the start of the race. You don't want to be chasing the front group through the other riders. And look at the map at the top right hand corner. You can see how that's stretched out. You'd have to fight your way through using up more power to get to the front than you would be for a short 10-second, 15-second start at the front. So waiting for the group to come around. And here they come. Starting to form up. Gives me a chance to come off the gas. And like I mentioned in the other videos, typically a race, and certainly shorter races like this, have 3 really distinct sections. So there's the start, the middle, and the end, which obviously makes sense. But at the same time, what you need to understand is that the start is usually quite difficult. You've really got to put the gas in to get to the front and stay with the front, and that typically lasts about half a lap or a lap, depending on how long the race is. So in this case, there's certainly a lot of the riders here that understand this strategy, putting in big watts to make sure they stick with the front group. And then once that front group is sort of found its rhythm, and you can tell this by the fact that when we're looking at the map in the top right hand corner, there are riders dropping off the back. There's a few that are catching on and they're just hanging in there, but there's a bunch of riders that have fallen off the back. And it's that front group there that, we've got our first cone for the night. We've got a rider up ahead there in the green kit. And he's already disappeared, he's already left the race. So that green cone that appeared above his head indicated that he was riding out of his category. And as part of these particular races, there are what's called anti-sandbagging features. And they attempt to try and normalize the races in the category that we've all joined. And what that means is it stops, say, A-grade races or B-grade races joining in C and D grade categories for an easy win. Now, if he hadn't disconnected and left the race, he would have been left with his power being reduced, I think, by 25%. So he probably could have still hung with us, but he would have been putting in the same kind of effort that we're all putting in, and not just smashing off the front and beating everyone. So I've got the Aero Power Up. The Aero Power Up helps to make you more aerodynamic. It makes you more aerodynamic in terms of the resistance that you face when you normally ride. It only lasts for 10 seconds. It's like, if I'm honest, it's the power up that everyone wants, the Aero. So especially when you're in a race, it's the power up that everyone wants at the end of the race. It helps you with sprinting and just gives you that slight edge over the other races that maybe don't have that particular power up. But getting it at the start of the race isn't so much of a big deal. There'll be 8 more or 7 more points where I'm going to get possibly the same power up or something similar that is going to help me. So coming through the climb here. I was really happy with how I've been progressing with the climbing while racing. And I think it's the other races that I've been struggling with, the other races that do have climbing involved, that have helped me with this, and I'm going to keep on that. I've used the Aero Power Up, and there's 4 of us now on the front there that all picked up a PR on that climb. So certainly, that PR indicates that I did that climb faster than the entire last race I was in. So it might only be a second or 2, but certainly, there's effort being put in there. All right, back into the rollers. And we can see some of the other guys here. Yeah, look, using the steamroller power up here is probably the best spot to use it. The drafting one is not too bad either. Typically we're in a group here, we're all going downhill. That's not a bad spot to use it. I would like to use it more on a flat section rather than the gravel section. But if you're sort of in the red, you're happy to grab onto any branch that you can. Alright, end of the second lap. 6 to go. So I'm 10th fastest. Not that that's something that I'm trying to achieve, to be the fastest on the lap. Doesn't matter how fast you are during the race, it just matters how fast you are when you cross the finish. Now I picked up the steamroller. I really do like that power up. I think it's a pretty good one. And as I mentioned, what it does is it smooths or flattens out the road or the surface that you're riding. So if you're on a gravel section or a cobbled section, much like when we're doing that little 2-stage climb, it flattens that out, makes it more easier to ride, and gives you a slight advantage over the other riders who have to suffer through that resistance a little bit more than you do. And the other great thing about this particular power-up is that it goes for 20 seconds, not the usual 10. Now I'm not going to use it on the climbs here because I just don't think it's a great use of that particular power-up. I'd much rather use that power-up in the rollers coming up in the gravel section. So and yep, look at that. So more PRs for everyone. Pretty happy with how I'm going with those climbs, I've got to say. Lots of room for improvement. I've only been back into Sea Grey for the last couple of weeks, so I've only done maybe, I guess, what, eight races. But happy with the progression. So hit the power up on the steamroller through this section. It's almost precisely 20 seconds through the section, so it works really well. The last race I did, I had the steamroller on the last lap and used it around this point, and it was far too late. Should have used it at the start of the rollers here, the gravel section. I think that would have helped me a lot. Thanks, Sharon, for the ride on. Much appreciated. Okay. Into the 4th lap. And boom, everyone is setting PRs on these laps. Full gas, that's what everyone is on. Full gas. Now I've got the undraftable burrito power up, which I've used now because, well, it's pretty useless in these races. You've got to be super strong to be able to break away from the front. Use that power up to help discourage a fellow rider from trying to catch you. I just haven't seen it, especially not in Sea Grey anyway. So how the burrito, where I guess the burrito name is that the anecdotal suggestion is that when you eat burritos, you fart, and when you fart, no one wants to sit behind you. So there you go. That's the idea behind the icon. Okay, coming back around to the climb. Look at that. I didn't realize I'm first. 20.36 for the prime. Oh, got a polka dot jersey. Oh, that's pretty cool. I'll probably lose that during the race, but you know, I had it for a short time there. There we go, lost it already. And Mr. Atomic has picked up that the polka dot. Let's see if you can hold on to it. Okay, coming up to the rollers. Still got a solid group here with us. I'm estimating, I can't see them all, but I'm probably thinking there's around about 20 riders here in this front group. They get strung out in the rollers here. I'm looking at that map, we might drop one, maybe two riders, which is always a good thing. Yep. And the hairpin, and you see a few riders that come off the pace there at the back. Excellent. Back for the banner. And what pair up do we get? The Ghost power up. And look at it on the right hand side there. Everyone is getting a PR on that lap. So the pace is certainly hot. There's no one, it's not backing off, that's for sure. And you can see from my face there that yes, I'm not enjoying it all that much. The grunt factor on this particular race was pretty high. Okay. Yep, so the Ghost power up, which is pretty much next to useless. Well, from my perspective anyway. The idea behind the Ghost power up is that you disappear for 10 seconds. And the suggestion is that what you do is you would enable the Ghost power up and then go sprinting off the front. And the other riders wouldn't realise what's happened until it's too late and you're too far for them to catch. But in this kind of a race, in a C-grade ride like this, with solid riders, I don't think anyone's got those legs to do that. So what I did do was after the climb, threw it on because, well, I've got to use it anyway. And, I did pull in front of a few other riders here, but I just don't have the strength to keep pushing off the front like that without the other riders, especially in a large group like we are now, catching on. So, as I said in previous videos, you don't want to try and do the hero turn off the front because you will get caught. It's better to stay in the group. And like we know that the peloton, the group, will go faster than an individual rider. On average, always. Back to the rollers. Hairpin, back around. And we've got 3 laps to go. And I'm looking at that histogram down the bottom there. There's certainly a few red matches. Hopefully I've got enough for the end of the race. And again, we can see on the right hand side there are lots of riders setting PRs on each lap. So this is full gas, that's for sure. Coming around. It's got to be, oh gosh, at least 15, at least 15 riders. And as I mentioned before, my strategy with these races is You want to be, you know, the second, third, fourth wheel. I mean, if you feel it's necessary, take a short turn the front. There's lots of other riders. Don't spend excessive time on the front. It will just wipe you out. Passing a back marker here. Up around the climb. And again, really happy with how I'm feeling after like a little climb like that. I know it's not a big issue, but when you're in the red, anything where you're going up can sort of suck it out of you. So I'm pretty happy with being at the front after each of those climbs so far. It's really good. And I've got a couple of riders sort of trying to break away at the front there, but I know that we're just going to reel them back in. There's no point in trying to chase them or, you know, get worried about them breaking off. And you'll see that we've got a rider at the front there. I know, what's that, maybe a second, maybe 15 meters, 20 meters through the rollers here, mostly downhill. And you can see we're already picking them back up. It's just not worth burning a whole bunch of energy for nothing. All right, coming up, 2 laps left. Starting to get serious. Now I think that's Baxter that was racing off the front there in the red and the blue. I wasn't too sure why he was doing that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, winning the sprint, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense in these races. Why would you do that for? You don't get anything for it. It's not like it's a points thing. But, no, more power to him. Still got some numbers here. Haven't really broken the grip up too much. Now we're getting to the end of the middle section. And that middle section is really about just finding rhythm, finding a spot where you can manage the pain, but stay in touch with this front group. And all the other riders do it too. I mean, everyone thinks, oh, you're racing, like sprinting all the time, but it's not really the case. It's certainly hard, there's no question about that. I've used my featherweight power up just here. Only because I want to get rid of it, and certainly it's a good spot to use it. Well, it's the only spot you would use this power up, and it certainly did help too. Don't worry about that. Still got a few guys turning over PRs on those laps and that climb. Grunt factor is increasing. Okay, so that feel a little bit. Just trying to regain a little bit of what do you call it? The thing with the stuff. Regain a little bit of energy here. Just trying to recover. Now in these races, you want to be as efficient as you can be with your power. That's really what it gets you through to the end. Okay, coming up to the bell lap. Ding, ding, ding. Here we go. And everyone is seeing PRs again on that second last lap. Almost a 2-second improvement on the first PRs of the race. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot, but geez, when you're in the red, like a 2-second difference at the end, like, it's just a lot. Now, in the back of my mind, I'm really thinking about the last time I rode this and how I sort of lost it at the start of the cobbled climb. I wasn't paying attention, was towards the back, a group rode off the front, and I just couldn't shut them down. So I'm certainly more cognizant of that this race. I really want to stay in touch with the first 4 or 5 riders in the group. So I'm certainly thinking about that. I'm thinking about the pain of my legs, and I'm wondering how I'm going to go with that, just that last kilometre, the last 800 metres. So we're coming up 1.1 kilometres left. I'm going to hit the right-hander here, hit the climb. I'm up on the pedals. I know I've got to stay in contact with those first 2, 3, 4 riders. And Baxter's up the front again. On the big watts. And I found that I just lost it here. I just didn't have the power. Everyone's seeing new PRs again. So what? On that climb, 19 seconds. Really hoping to recover quickly. Jump on the back of one of the other riders and try and regain some composure, but I just couldn't. And I can see some of the other riders using their power-ups, kicking through. Thinking that maybe I've got a top 10 position here, sort of slipping out of my grasp. Finding the willpower to get up on the pedals and really start pushing. Hoping to try and regain a couple of positions that I've just lost. But really feeling it now, really feeling it. Now we've got another cone. Yeah. Should have started that much earlier, just coming into the rollers, should have jumped on the pedals, started pushing then and not left it so late. But hey, 11th, I'm still pretty happy with that. Now it's about progression, not perfection. And my last race, I think I finished 15. So 11th within Zwift is certainly a great result. And actually, in fact, when I was looking at the times, the time I did for this race just now, 22 minutes 20 seconds, or roughly about that, would have won me the last race. So yeah, every race is different, and I'm really happy with that progression. So that's really encouraging. I see my heart rate still climbing there, 179. I think I topped out at. So putting in some really big effort at the end of the race there, again, which I'm stoked about. That's awesome. That's really good. It just means that I'm improving and getting better. So my last Crit C race, 3.1 watts per kilo. This one, 3.2. Last race, 258 watts. This race, 263. And I was about 20 seconds faster. So that's a real progression. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next race.